What's up, Fleek family? Today we're going to be talking about how to source vintage clothing, which you can then go on to resell on apps like eBay, Vinted, and Depop. Today we're going to be talking about how you actually get your hands on these sort of clothes, because finding Ralph Lauren jumpers at cheap prices is pretty difficult. And if you want to get this in bulk, if you want to scale your business, and if you actually want to make some money selling this sort of stuff, that's what we're going to be covering today. So stick around. We're going to be covering everything from basic to pro. Let's get into it. So the first big and obvious question is, where do people source secondhand clothes from, right? That's what this whole video is. I've got some really nice stock in front of me, but where do you actually buy this from? There's a few places. Let's start with the easiest one, that is car boot sales in the UK. Car boot sales, flea markets, local garage sales, these sort of things. In the UK, they're called car boot sales, and it's basically where a bunch of people go in a field. You might have to pay on entry, and people will sell things out the back of their car. It is a little bit strange, but this is a great way to find some bargains. Now, in cities that are equivalents to these, but they're kind of more local little markets, and people can go there and sell their stuff. And to be honest with you, I haven't had any great success at car boot sales, but I know people who have found some really cool items. Here, often it's older people selling them, so you can find some really nice vintage jumpers that they'll only be selling for a few pounds. The really great thing with car boot sales is everything is basically £2 to £5. No one's really selling anything for like 40, 50, 60 pounds. So if you have a very, very low budget, bring some cash with you, because you can head there and definitely pick up some bargains. That said, it's highly unlikely for you to find anything amazing. It's not going to be many branded pieces, but if I was going to a car boot sale, I would definitely be looking out for things like football shirts, potentially scarves and hats, which you could pick up for £1, £2 like this, and maybe sell for 10, 15. That's the sort of thing I would be looking for. Definitely manage your expectations. It's not great, and the main thing is they're very, very unreliable. You have to get up early in the morning, walking around a muddy field with no guarantee of finding anything good. I don't know. I don't love it. Affordability factor, absolutely amazing, but when it comes to scaling and treating this as a business, yeah, not a great method. Next up, you have charity shops, and in my opinion, these are pretty rubbish too, just as bad as car boot sales for all of the same reasons. They're a little bit better because charity shops are more available. If you don't know, charity shops are basically high street shop where people can donate their old clothes to, and they sell them, and they're non-profits, and they raise money for charity, which is really good. They've got a little bit smarter. You used to be able to go to charity shops and find a good deal. Let's say an old granny handed in, let's say, this lovely Ralph Lauren jumper. They might only sell it for £5 to £10, but nowadays they've really upped their prices. I think just because rents are getting more expensive, or maybe they're just getting better systems, so they know what things are worth. So if you're a reseller, charity shops aren't great, and they have all the same flaws that car boot sales have. No guarantee of finding good items, difficult to scale, items are getting more expensive, all that sort of stuff. Not great, but if you've got one near you, it's always worth popping in, because you never know what you'll find. And also, as a reseller, it's just quite good to see what kind of clothes are out there. And hey, if you've got some pound coins, go and see if you can get yourself a bargain. One that is a lot better, in my opinion, than charity shop reselling is Vinted reselling, or actually marketplace reselling, but specifically we're going to focus on Vinted. The idea with Vinted and marketplace reselling is you're looking for items that are priced significantly under their actual value. A lot of people, if they're having wardrobe clear outs or they're following random guidance they've got, they might take a photo of a jumper and they go to list it, and they'll put this jumper up for £5. Now, if we can buy this for £5, we know we're going to make some money as a reseller. So you basically try to buy it as fast as you can. Obviously, you're probably already thinking this has a lot of flaws to it, difficult to scale, no guarantee of getting a good item. Your chances are obviously a lot better because there's a lot more people on Vinted than like charity shops and things like that. So it's definitely a bigger pool, and if you search for a few hours, you're definitely going to find some good deals. So that is definitely an advantage, but it's still time consuming. It's still not amazing, and it's still, main thing, difficult to scale. You don't want to be spending 10 hours a day on Vinted looking for bargains. The last one is using us, Fleek. We are a global marketplace app, and we basically connect vintage clothes suppliers and sorters and wholesalers in India and Pakistan and the UK, actually all over the world, with resellers like you. So you can buy actually a bundle like this, which has a bunch of vintage clothes in, which then you can resell. And the great thing about Fleek is there's a bunch of buyer protection, and there's a load of clothes. So you're not going to get scammed. Everything you receive will be authentic, and you can actually build supply negotiations, submit offers, everything. It's like Vinted, but just dedicated to vintage resellers. It's awesome. Now, the biggest perk, in my opinion, for Fleek is that it just offers you a linear way to scale, because once you start building a relationship with a supplier, once you know a product that works for you and you're selling it, you can just order it in larger and larger quantities. That's pretty simple. If you buy a box of 10 jumpers and you can sell them pretty fast, you can buy a box of 100 and you will be good to go for the next month or so. None of these other methods of sourcing really provide an option like that, which allows your business just to grow in such a simple way, but you can consistently reorder. All the other ones have inconsistencies, and that's what I love about Fleek. You can order a little box like this, or literally a container load. Now, once you have actually ordered and sourced some vintage clothing, there are some industry terms that I would like to tell you, and this is all called grading. Now, there's 3 grades. You've got grade A, grade B, and grade C. Grade A is a jumper like I have in front of me here, which is just a jumper in absolutely perfect condition. Obviously, it is still used. If I show you the tag there, and if I show you what the jumper looks like, there's absolutely no signs of wear. It's just like if this had a tag on, it would be considered a brand new piece. You can get the full maximum resale value for a piece like this. Grade B, on the other hand, is an item I don't actually have any on me, but with a few minor marks or a little bit of wear and tear. Basically, you won't get the maximum value of the item, but generally grade B, because of this, is cheaper, so you do get better margins on grade B pieces because they are considered less desirable. You make better profit margin, so it's still a really good option. And then grade C is pretty worn out. On Fleek, when you are ordering, often it will be grade A and B, and that is because there will be a little mix. This mix, what you'll see is it'll be 70% grade A and 30% grade B. This way we can balance it out really well, and you basically get the best price while getting most of the best pieces as well. And that is also generally an industry standard from any vintage wholesaler that you will see. Speaking of industry standards, you will also need to get familiar with the term exact and representative when it comes to buying. This is because whenever you're buying a big box like this, you sometimes don't know what you're going to get, and instead a supplier will send you a video, and that is supposed to be representative of the stock inside. So if you're going to buy some Ralph Lauren t-shirts from me, and let's say I was going to sell you this bundle, I would kind of show you some of the stock that you'd get, and I could show you this, this is what the t-shirts will kind of look like. All Ralph Lauren branded, but they're simple prints. They're not all blue, by the way. This basically gives you an idea of what you're buying. However, it is a little bit of a gamble because you don't obviously know exactly what you're going to get. If the supplier's got good reviews, it's still like that. That's the norm, right? However, at Fleek, we thought we could actually create a little bit of a better system than that, especially for people that are new. So we have this thing called exact bundles. These are exact video bundles, as the name suggests, of exactly what the stock is that's going to arrive at your doorstep. This way, there's no guesswork, no gambling, especially if you're a newer seller. This is really good. Obviously, because the suppliers have to literally get out and video every single piece, it is a little bit more expensive compared to representative bundles, and the quantity is often a lot smaller just because people have to video it. But if you are new, it's a great option. It's super safe. And if you are a little bit worried and thinking, oh, I don't want to buy, I'm unsure what I'll get, it's a brilliant option. And lastly, you can do handpick with some suppliers. This is basically where you can schedule a call, hop on a meeting, and actually be on a video chat with them and go around their warehouse and pick out exactly the stock you want. Now, again, this is more expensive when it comes to buying. However, if you're doing a hand pick, you're probably not getting as many pieces, and you will be obviously going for the most desirable, easiest to sell pieces that you know are worth the most. So if you only want to buy 10, 20, 30 pieces, hand picks can be really good because you choose the stock and you basically can make sure you get absolutely golden stuff. Really good margins on hand picking because you're deciding what you're going to buy. Usually, you know best. Now, how do you actually vet suppliers, and how do you know if a supplier is any good? Well, the first thing I would always look for is what items are they selling? If they're just selling a bunch of nonsense, they're probably not for you. But if you're after Ralph Lauren jumpers and 80% of the stuff they sell is Ralph Lauren, they're probably your guy, and they've probably got really good prices for Ralph Lauren because it's their main category. Same thing if you're after Carhartt jackets. If the person is also selling Carhartt trousers, they're probably a Carhartt guy. That probably means they specialize in that brand. I mentioned it earlier, but another thing you should always check when vetting a supplier and actually finding out if they are any good is looking at their reviews on Fleek. This will actually show you what people bought and the review they left, so you can see what people are buying, which is kind of good to get some market insights and some stalking. And then also just to see, were they a good supplier? Did people receive their items fast enough? Did people actually get what they ordered? And was the stock high quality? So super important, really useful to have that information all within the app. You can also see a few other things like quality score and repeat buyers, and this data is also really interesting because if they've got a lot of repeat buyers, they're probably a really good seller and you should order from them. And then lastly, when it comes to vetting a supplier, I would always send them an offer, and I would also message them, because if they've generally got fast responses and they're kind of counter offering you and you can see that they're interactive, that's usually a good sign. It's very rare for a seller to just accept your offers straight away, but I actually enjoy having a bit of counter offering. It shows they're online, it kind of shows they're human. Just messaging them and being like, hey, if I order this, I think that's always a good idea to do. You should do it too. And lastly, I want to discuss, how do you use the Fleek app to actually do all of this stuff that we've spoken about? Welcome to sunny London, and I'm going to show you how you can use the Fleek app and actually order your stock anywhere where you are in the world, remote, at your computer, it doesn't matter. So if you pull up the Fleek app, you can actually see a few things here, and the first thing you can see is the collections. Here is what will show you all of like seasonal topical collections. So right now we've got all of the autumn stuff, and they've even classified some things for like vintage flips or whatnot flips. So whether you do want to sell on marketplaces or live streaming app, kind of changes what you actually want to sell. They put those in great categories for you, all with trusted sellers. On some vintage flips, we've got some Burberry scarves, great to sell. I mean, it's sunny, but it's still a little bit chilly, so stuff like that is selling great right now. So then you keep on scrolling down, you've got latest drops. These are the latest items that suppliers have uploaded on the app. And you've also got a recommended for you section where if you've interacted with the app a little bit, it'll give you a few things. Now, let's say you found something you really like. Here, there are some Levi's denim jackets. Again, this is great stuff to be selling in winter. There is a like feature, so you can actually like that item, and then that will go into your saved collections, which you can see in your profile, which is a great way if you're maybe eyeing up a piece of stock, not sure if you want to get forget it, like it, save it, remember it. And from there, you can also make an offer on a seller. So let's say you don't want to pay the full price. You can submit a 10% offer off. And if I send that, boom. There's also the search section where you can search for any stock, and the suppliers tab that will show you all of Fleek's trusted and vetted suppliers. If you want to find out the location of a supplier, which you really should, you go into the supplier tab, click on the supplier, and you'll see it says the location in the top left. So let's say you're looking for a really specific item, you've searched for it, but you can't find anyone selling it, or you want it in a certain quantity, a certain grade, that sort of thing. This is what the demand hub's for. You can just press this plus button, and it opens up like a request system. So basically, this will contact all of the suppliers on Fleek, and you could put in a bespoke, specific request for a certain type of item. This is a great way to find potentially slightly more rare items, but you do it to have a bit of back and forth with suppliers for this to work. And that is it. You can order and run your wholesale business from your mobile phone. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments, and us at Fleek are happy to answer them.